So it's 4:33, and I want to welcome you all to the January 8th, 2024 regular meeting of the Brattleboro Housing Partnership, being held on Zoom in a hybrid format. It's about 4:33 p.m. So welcome and Happy New Year. Good.
Happy New Year.
So has everybody read the minutes from
Yes.
December 18th? And does
Yes.
anybody have any questions or concerns? All right, if I don't hear any questions or concerns, may I have a motion that we that we accept the meeting?
I move we accept the minutes for the December 18th meeting.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor? Hands raised.
Aye.
I don't know if you can see my hand.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
there's a hand up the top. Yep.
Ah,
There we go. Okay, thank you so much. Resident and citizen participation. So I don't see any residents on. We're going to open the public hearing on the HUD plans, 2024 annual plan and the 24-25 moving to work supplemental plan. Is there any discussion?
So we'll need a motion to open the hearing.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Sorry, no, it's not really described on there as well. So we'll just need a motion to open the hearing.
I move that we open the meeting.
I don't think you need to have a public hearing. There's
okay.
no public
Sorry.
hearing warned on this.
Okay.
You had your public hearing at your December 18th meeting. This is just for you to accept it. There is no public hearing.
Okay.
Okay, fine. All right. So, has everybody read the information in our packet
Yes.
on the annual plan for the fiscal year 24-25 as presented, or did anybody want any changes? Are there any questions or discussion? If not,
Recognition of the just a recognition of the work and the expertise needed on this. Thank you very much.
There's a lot of work because there was a lot of information, basically.
I concur.
right. May I have a motion to accept the plan?
Move that we accept the plan.
I
Yes.
second it.
Who gave a first?
Me, Gary.
Okay, great. And the second. All in favor? Raise your hand.
Let me get my hand here. Hang on.
Good.
There we go.
Aye.
Thank you. And,
I have my finger on my reaction button. It's like the price is right.
we have a potential motion to accept the moving to work supplemental plan for the fiscal year 24-25 as presented or with changes. Any questions about that? Do I have a
No
motion?
questions.
Pardon?
No questions.
May I have a motion to accept?
I have a motion that we accept.
And I
Second?
second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right. The financial review, has everybody had a chance to review the monthly comparables?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions about them? Okay. We have check signing assignments. January is Gary. February is Elisha Underwood, and March is Pat Green. Any questions there? Okay. All right. So the BHOI, there's no update since the December meeting. I would like to.
We did receive, I will give a little update that maybe didn't make it into the packet, but we have received 25 So two pieces, $25,000 from the state. I don't know if that was announced last month. It's a matching grant. And Jeanette, what?
Yeah, actually, we got that in June.
Oh, okay. But I don't know if it made it to the report
Oh,
until
okay.
then, because it wasn't on the amount. She didn't subtotal it until later.
Oh, okay.
And then we also received, what else have we received, Jeanette?
We got for $1,500 from Ben and Jerry Foundation. It's a community grant foundation. And then we got $1,500 from the Mark and Liz Richards Foundation as a result of the article that was in the paper about the murals that were done with art in the neighborhood. He called and liked it and has sent us a $1,500 check. Or we haven't gotten it yet, but he sent us the information that we were getting it.
Fantastic. How did the article come about? Was it a press release or did they approach you?
No, it was Art in the Neighborhood so we have two murals that one at Ledgewood and one at Moorcourt that were created over the summer, and the Art in the Neighborhood program had a little event at each site last month with the hopes that we would have some press, and we did have a little bit of press. So at that time, I attended both events, and I just spoke a little bit about the playground itself and the process that we've been going through, and that the kids had, designed and picked out some of the things that we we're going to have there in the pavilion, and that we had ordered the stuff, but that it was costing over $100,000 and what we had raised. So I think having that information helps. So we were talking a little bit about potentially having another article in the paper specifically about just specifically for the playground at some point. And hopefully that can glean a little bit of information.
I think Christine was very understated when she said we had a little bit of publicity. It was front page above the fold.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's good. Yeah, excellent.
What about the commons? More people get the commons.
It would be this week if it was, because I think it wouldn't have been time for last week's comments, but I don't know if they had anybody there or not.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't send anybody.
I think the town should know. I think the town and surrounding town should really know what is going on, what you'd call the family units, to see what's really happening to help these kids. And to really know, they just don't sit there and do nothing, and what we're trying to do to help them.
Well, we certainly can reach out to the Commons and the Reformer and get a press release specifically about, since then we've actually gotten a little bit more money that might help to raise more awareness.
Great.
And all the equipment has been ordered, so it's going in. We're going to do this in the spring, and the pavilion has already started. So we're really starting to see some progress, which is nice. And thank you, Jeanette. Jeanette has really taken the lead since right now the BHOI board, we're a little low on members. She has really helped us to take the lead on applying for some of these grants. And we just received confirmation today that we do have someone who is joining the BHOI board, at least temporarily, to support us in getting new members who have some fundraising experience.
I met a woman who might be interested, and she does have fundraising experience. Should she talk to you, Christine?
She hasn't, no.
No, should she?
Oh, yes, she should. Yeah, that'd be great. Just send her directly to me. Yep, that'd be great.
It wasn't on the agenda, but you had very good executive director report.
Mhm.
And one of the things I wanted to compliment was the $450,000 grant for Summit.
Yeah. That's going to be over 3 years. So it's not an annual grant, but it definitely does give money, and it's shared between Wyndham Windsor and ourselves. It hasn't been publicly announced yet by the donor, but it has been announced to us. And so we are excited about that. And we are going to continue to work with legislators to fill in the gap of that pilot program funding. I mean, really the hope is for next year to expand the program through other places around the state based on the success of our program. So it is really good news.
Is there any other business or questions that we have? Anybody?
I will just share with the board, we have had unfortunately some vandalism at our main office, and it has continued. We had additional vandalism over the weekend. So we do have we have increased our surveillance. We've increased some more cameras. We're also trying to contract with someone else. We're going to have somebody on site. But it has been really, concerning for staff. It's also really labor intensive for staff because it's just smashing windows, which creates a big mess. And we do have a security system which is in place, but we are increasing that as well so that it's going to be sensitive to the windows, and then also the cameras will be able to capture right out of the windows if something's being smashed. So I think that will at least help us to figure out what's going on. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but I just wanted to make the board aware of it.
I was wondering if this was mentioned also to the Brat PD.
Yes, there is an ongoing police investigation, and they
Okay.
have been actively reviewing video files.
Very good. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Oh, I guess this is something that I was just looking at for Vermont Public that I don't know, maybe you all have or haven't. I could send about the key questions that loom as Vermont prepares to ramp down the pandemic era motel program. I think that's around April. But they're looking for appropriate funding, and I see that Peter Elwell and I believe also BHP and a couple of other players are trying to come together to get housing by April. If they don't get 4 million because they're back in the House and trying to get funding and the budget and all that. So just wanted to see what direction this is so far. But I don't know, Christine, if you heard anything in regards to that, the HUD programs and everything that's going on now. The fundings are going to be happening, I guess, in that time span, because we're now in January, I guess. We got February, March, April, 3 more months before we go through another cycle of trying to figure out housing for the additional people. But they did say about 200 or 300 people did get housing through BHP and Wyndham Windsor, which is great. Just trying to get a pulse to see where the housing issue is going to be moving forward, or any additional housing that we're planning on in the future down the road, Christine.
So the only housing project that we have in place right now is the site at Melrose, which we're in the process of redeveloping. I do know that VHFA, Vermont Housing Finance Agency, has applied for the large HUD amount. They're the ones who will be distributing that money throughout the state. So that's not that's not something that we can directly apply for. We have to apply through the state. They apply for to the federal government, and then we apply to them, along with also VHCB. And so, to answer, I guess to answer your question is the only project we have right now in the pipeline is the Melrose project. We don't have an additional project outside of that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're part of our moving to work plan was to raise the cap on our project-based voucher, which could significantly impact development, because we could embed vouchers into those programs. So that was one way of supporting additional housing as well.
Yeah, because I know the cost that just went up recently with Social Security for people this year. And there might be some few adjustments, I guess you had mentioned at the last meeting financially for something. I talked to Dave, and it may or may not affect a few people because they have to readjust their finances if they're working, because it can and could affect vouchers, as we know. If you're not within that guideline, hopefully some of these guidelines will change and go up, knowing the cost of living and eating and, fuel and gas is going up, trying to keep up with that. Just like I spoke with some people at the economic services with their guideline that it's still, pretty archaic and they need to bring that up to speed. Will that affect anything as far as with people now that some of them, their disability or their social security is going to go up with getting help financially through Section 8 or through HUD in a way as getting their rents paid? Because it does affect when your funds go up, it does affect what you get from Section 8, how much they're going to be giving.
I guess, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Yeah.
I think, Gary, I think that one of the things that we did in moving to work last year under the LEAP program is that the people will only be recertified once every 3 years. So if their Social Security goes up during that 3-year period, it isn't going to impact their rent at all.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I think it went up 3.5 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it did.
So that will affect some, and if they're working too part-time, because what I was trying to get the formulation with that, the way I was being explained is with Section 8 and with the other programs that, food stamps and all that, they have their formula, everyone has their formulations, but that being said, as long as it's not going to cause them to be affected in a way that's going to cause them to be removed or anything because they're making too much.
Yeah, so we don't remove people from our program. So if you live in one of our housing sites and you are over income, you can stay in our housing site and you pay market rent. But as Jeanette said, part of our moving to work plan, which we did deliberately, was to certify every 3 years, which really gives people who have earned income a real advantage because they can increase their income without their rent going up during that time period,
That's good.
which could be a real substantial boost. I don't know if you were talking, and then I missed the first part that you were talking about the utility allowances. So last month we did approve the utility allowances for the year. Those were aligned with the Vermont State Housing Utility Allowances, and our fair market rent allowance has gone up considerably. It's gone up almost 20%. And so that's a huge jump. In the last 2 years, it's gone up. It went up 18% last year and almost 20% this year. So our forward market rents are really, at this point, I think, very competitive.
Oh, good. That's a better understanding. That my only concern was if you make a certain amount, you can be shut off in some case. Like I said, I spoke with David. You got to be within that guideline of what the federal or the state requires for you in that level of how much you're allowed to make.
Yeah, and that is the case for a Section 8 voucher in the community. So if you have a Section 8 voucher and you live in the community and you go over that income, then you could potentially lose your voucher because you no longer need it. You're not receiving a rental assistance any longer.
Correct.
And so I don't, that would be different for Vermont State Housing. If they have their own programs, but our program would be recertifying every 3 years. So it does allow people in the Section 8 program with a project-based voucher to also increase their income during this window.
Right. To help them at least, get up. Maybe, they might want to do home purchasing or something and put money aside at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? Michelle?
I appreciated the strategic plan being in the packet again. And I think we're only a couple of years since, I think maybe you wrote it in 2022, right? And I'm wondering, is your intention to sort of do an update on each of those pieces every so often, or?
Yeah, I think that because we started it last year was the first year, we had shared a few deliverables. We didn't have as many deliverables as of the last fiscal year. Our next fiscal year starts on April 1. So the idea was to have some of those deliverables embedded into there and to report out on that for this year in April. It's hard to pull the data. What makes it challenging is we want to pull the data to end at the end of March so that we could report out on it. So I would love for it to be in the April board packets, but it might actually be in the May board packets. Yep. And if you see on the annual plan that we submitted to the state, it does, you know, if you look at the goals of the HUD, where is it?
Yeah, there were a lot of.
You can see,
overlapping.
yeah, you can see some of the deliverables that we've already addressed and that coordinate with the HUD plan, statewide HUD plan, as well as our plan. I'm trying to see which page is
That was smart.
Yeah. I think it's, sorry, it might be like it's the certification of state or local official. So that, if you read through there, we put in all of our all of the measures from the Vermont HUD consolidated plan, the 4 key areas that they want us to address, and we entered that information, and then that directly corresponds with our some of the measures in our strategic plan. It looks like this. I don't know if this is. Oh, you can't probably see it. And we send that to the commissioner of the Department of Housing and Community Development, and he already reviewed it and signed off. I didn't have his sign off by the time I sent the board packets.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I just have one quick question, and not to put Michelle on the spot, but Michelle, do you want to continue? So we went forward with the choosing Stevens for the Bob Stevens group for the housing development partner and or consultant, I'm sorry. And so now that we have that in place, I wasn't sure if you still wanted to be part of a subcommittee for the development. Okay,
Thank you for asking. I'd be delighted.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure because that the pool was really small and we just wanted to move forward with that, but I wanted to make sure that you would be involved in it. So great, perfect. Yeah. So just so everyone knows where we're at with that, they are putting together just a initial proposal contract for us to sign off on. And then the first step will be doing an evaluation of this property, funding sources that could be used specifically for this property and the development, and then also some ideas about relocation for the office. We really will need to relocate the office because we really want to add more additional housing here that we won't be able to probably do if we keep the offices here.
Sure.
Understandable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other comments, questions? Do I have a motion that we adjourn?
A motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, thank you.
There's my hand.
Thank you. It's a great meeting for the start of the year.
Absolutely.
Lots more. Good.
I'll
Thank
see you
Brattleboro
Friday.
Television.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.